So a few months back, I decided to try a side hustle that very few people talk about. It's called land flipping, and I think it's one of the best kept hidden gems of side hustles there is. It's basically the same thing as house flipping, but instead of flipping a house, you're flipping raw land. I'm a big believer in looking for opportunities where other people aren't paying attention. Most people don't realize it, but the real life-changing opportunities usually fly under the radar. Dropshipping was an amazing opportunity back in the day before everyone knew about it. There's a saying in business that goes, so easy that idiots can get rich. And basically dropshipping was just like that. It was so easy that it didn't require all this intricate strategy to make a lot of money doing it. But then as more people discovered it, more people piled in, it became more and more difficult. Same thing goes with Amazon FBA. In the early days, Amazon FBA, I'm sure, was much easier than it is today. Same thing goes with YouTube. If you were one of the first people on YouTube making content, you had a much easier time growing than you do today in 2021. By the way, if you want to help me grow on YouTube as I'm hustling and putting out content every week, make sure you hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that, they should be sending this video out to more people. And that isn't to say that all these opportunities aren't still opportunities. Obviously, people are jumping into those things and they're still making money. It's just much more difficult than it used to be. And I guarantee right now there are new opportunities under the radar that most people don't know about. They're making people who are applying essentially no strategy and who have very little experience a lot of money just because they stumbled upon these opportunities first. And I'm essentially always on the hunt for a really good side hustle. That's why I try out so many different side hustles. And that's how I got started exploring the idea of land flipping. The concept for land flipping is extremely simple. Buy land dirt cheap and then sell that land for more to someone else. And I actually got this idea when my father-in-law bought a lot for $30,000, went in, cut down some trees, put in a gravel driveway, and then flipped it and sold it for $70,000 just a few months later. I thought, well, shoot, that's genius. I don't hear anyone talking about land flipping. Everyone's talking about real estate. Nobody's talking about land flipping. My father-in-law literally just did it, doubled his money. I can do that too. So then I started exploring the idea of land flipping. I started doing research. I started looking for courses, looking for books, looking for any content I could get on the idea of land flipping because I was sure there had to be other people out there that were actively implementing this idea and had turned it into a profitable business. And sure enough, there is a small, tiny group of people out there that run businesses flipping land as their main source of income. And there's basically three ways that people do it. The first way is they'll buy plots of land specifically for the timber on the land. So they'll buy plots of land with a ton of timber. They'll let that timber grow up, mature. Somebody will pay them to come in and cut all that wood down, and then they'll repeat the process over and over and over again. That's a really long strategy, and I wasn't even interested in that one. The second way people do it is they'll buy massive plots of land, subdivide those plots into lots, and basically create a suburban neighborhood, selling it to a developer who then goes and develops it, or by creating a ton of restrictions and selling individual lots to people who are wanting to build houses. The third way, which is the way I chose, is to look for those crazy, incredible deals where you can buy land way under market value, lock those deals in, and then sell them on the market for sometimes triple, sometimes quadruple, sometimes 5 times the price that you paid for that land. Now, one important note, I actually still haven't found anyone that did specifically what my father-in-law did, which is actually go in and renovate the land and then flip it. Later down the line, that's definitely a concept that I'm going to explore more, but just getting started and testing the side hustle, I went for a much simpler approach in the beginning. So the strategy I used is I basically got a list of different people that owned land. It's all public information, who owns what piece of land. I went and bought a list with just hundreds and hundreds of names on it and the general acreage and area that I was wanting to buy land. I mailed out 50-cent mailers with a specific offer letter, giving them an exact price that I would buy their land for. I offered them 1/4 the total market value for that land. So if that land was worth $20,000, I offered them $5,000. If that land was worth $10,000, I offered them $2,500. If you can buy a piece of land that's worth $10,000 for $2,500, then there's literally no way you're losing money. Even if I sold it at half the market value at $5,000, I'm still making $2,500. So I was just opting for the absolute safest approach, trying to get the best deal possible. That way I minimize my risk to the absolute smallest degree that it could be. One thing that most people don't understand about business is you make money on the purchase, not on the sale. Meaning the money's made in the deal, not when you go to sell it. Starting out, I was super nervous because I was like, who in their right mind is going to accept my offer for a quarter 1/4 of the market value of their land. Like, it just seemed insane to me, but I'd read about it online, so I thought, well, this is exactly what I'm gonna try. I'm just gonna try what somebody else said works and see what happens. Plus, I know from experience that just absolute insane deals and insane things can happen when you simply have the just courage to ask or the courage to try. So I started mailing out 20 different offers a day. I let it run, and for over a month, I literally got 0 responses. I would check the mail every single day to see if anyone had mailed me back, anyone had given me an offer. I'd check my phone, I'd check my voicemail, but I never got a call and I never got an offer for an entire month. Then finally one day I went and checked the mailbox, and sitting in it was an offer letter where they had signed it and said they would sell me their land for pennies on the dollar, no questions asked. And this blew my mind, and my first thought was there must be something wrong with this land. There's no way they're selling me their land at 1/4 of the value and there isn't something horribly wrong. Like, it must be a toxic waste dumper. Maybe it's like landlocked in the middle of nowhere and you can never access it. Or maybe it's just completely unusable land. Or maybe I had totally got the pricing wrong and I was overbidding for this land. And then as the days went on, I got a second letter and a third letter and a fourth letter and a fifth letter, and I'd get calls and I'd get voicemails and I'd get emails. Some of these properties I would look up and I could see that back in 2006, they bought these properties for sometimes as high as $90,000, and they were offering to sell them to me for just $2,000. You can see why I was really skeptical, feeling like I must be missing something because this is just too good to be true. But finally I was like, forget this. You know what? I've been mailing hundreds of people, spending hundreds of dollars. I just need to learn. I need to take a leap of faith and just purchase a piece of land. Out of all the offer letters, I picked the one I thought was the best, made the purchase, and bought the land. I paid just a little under $6,000 for 2 different parcels that were about 2 acres that had previously been bought by that owner for $30,000 each. He was really eager to sell them to me, and although that kind of seemed odd to me and almost was a red flag, I just bought them anyway because I was like, you know what, I need to learn. It's only $6,000. If I lose it all, then I've learned a valuable lesson. I drove out to the property. It looked great. I took some photos of it and I listed it up for sale. I got my first offer 24 hours later. They were wanting to put a mobile home on it. It was at that moment that I learned this property had very special restrictions where you couldn't put a mobile home on it. You could not put a tiny house on it. And really the only use you had for the property was if you were going to build an actual house. For me, this was kind of a huge blow because at that time, lumber prices were skyrocketing and nobody was looking at building a house. Days went by with no purchase, then weeks went by with no purchase, then over a month with no sale, no viable leads. And then I was like, you know what? This was all a mistake. I shouldn't have gotten into land flipping. It's not a good side hustle. I just need to figure out a way to make back the money I've spent so far and then get out of this thing without a loss. So I started looking through all my other offers. I found a land flipping group online. I posted up the different pieces of property I had under contract to see if anyone was interested in buying them. And I found one guy who was really interested in 3 of my properties. He wanted to buy them from me wholesale and offered to pay me $1,500 just for me to sign the letters, photocopy them over to him, and him to take the contracts. On top of that, he also offered to pay me 50% of the profit once the 3 parcels actually sell. That $1,500 was huge for me. It was a big win because it covered all the costs that I had spent up into that point besides the cost that it took to purchase the actual land, and showed me that wholesaling was a very lucrative opportunity. You gotta keep in mind, for those 3 letters, I spent $1.50 mailing them. It took me essentially maybe 20 minutes to post it up, photocopy them, and mail them over. And for that little effort, I was paid $1,500 plus the extra profits that come when the property actually sells. I essentially turned $1.50 into $1,500, which is 1,000x return on my investment. It was after that I spoke to a real estate agent that I knew about the piece of property that I had up that I was trying to sell, and he recommended that I actually split the piece of property back into its separate parcels and sell them each individually for a much lower price. I was thinking it would be easier just to bundle them together because then I could sell them all to one person and I didn't have to worry about selling them to 2 separate people and 2 separate, paperworks and 2 separate checks and all that. But I decided to take his advice. I split the parcels up, listed them online. Within maybe 10 minutes, I started receiving message after message after message. The much lower price point attracted way more people to the properties. Within 24 hours, I had maybe 80 messages from different people wanting to buy these different parcels. And after 48 hours of listing it, I got somebody to put in an offer to buy the property, netting a total profit of $3,395. Maybe that doesn't seem like much to you, but that's a 50% yield on my investment after just 2 months. If I could repeat that process every 2 months with just that $6,000, I will make $68,000 in 1 year using a $6,000 investment. And that's not counting using any additional capital or the parcels I could wholesale. On top of that, now that I've learned a little bit more, I'm confident I could actually get a much higher price for that type of property in the future by doing a few things a little bit different. And the biggest, most insane thing is that total, this entire process, actual hours that I worked probably totals around 10 to 12 hours. And that's with me having no experience. I'm confident in the future as I learn and grow and get better, I could probably have done this entire process in 1 to 2 hours. So if that's true, that means I can make $68,000 a year working 12 hours total, which takes this side hustle dangerously close to passive income, which I love. Now, I'm sure the biggest question you have right now is why in the world would somebody sell you their piece of property for so cheap when they could have sold it themselves and made a profit? Honestly, I literally have no idea, but they do. I know it sounds crazy. You got to keep in mind that I would mail out hundreds of letters, and out of the 100 letters, I'd get 1 or 2 back. That means I had a 99% fail rate doing this. But all I need is that 1% success rate to make money, which is exactly how this strategy is meant to work and how it did end up working. My best guess would be either they have a lot of money and they don't really care about the profit, they don't want to have to deal with all the hassle of selling it, pictures, and a real estate agent. Maybe they've been paying taxes on it for years, they thought they were going to build a house on it, they never did, and now they just are tired of it and want to get rid of it. Maybe they're really desperate for money and having that fast cash for them is more important and would be more valuable than having that piece of land. And if you want to see exactly how many offer letters I got back, this isn't the full stack, but these are all the ones that I found lying around my office. So for me, land flipping has been a massive success. And unlike house flipping, which full disclosure, I've never done, you don't have to worry about all the things that come with like an old, rundown house of like changing the plumbing or the electrical or tearing out carpets or tearing out toilets. All the crazy things I'm sure house flippers have to do when it comes to renovating a house. So I would give this side hustle a perfect 10 out of 10. It's an amazing side hustle, tons of opportunity, not very competitive, pretty dang easy, takes very little time. I'm gonna be trying other side hustles and other ways to earn passive income. And I'm also gonna continue with land flipping, and I'll keep you guys updated as that journey progresses. Let me know your questions in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. New videos every week, and I'll see you guys later.